How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Wicked for Good. That's right, the conclusion to Wicked after part one came out last year and was a huge hit. We got Wicked for Good. Once again, starring Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, Jeff Goldblum, and Michelle Yeoh. And this time around, we see what happened after the events of Wicked, or Act 1 of Wicked. I mean, they're based off Act 1 and Act 2 of the plays. So, anyways, Alphaba is deemed the Wicked Witch. She is wanted, while Galinda isn't now considered the Good Witch, and their paths once again cross, as Alphaba is still trying to get rights for the animals and trying to expose the wizard. So, last year, I went to Wicked, not having seen the play. I still haven't seen the play yet, and I was surprised and entertained. I enjoyed it a whole lot. I even rewatched it right before Wicked for Good came out on DVD right here, and I continue to enjoy myself watching this movie. I think it was a great musical, and I was curious to see what Wicked for Good, based off of Act 2 of the play, would do. And here are my thoughts. Obviously, the pros of this movie are Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande as Alphaba and Galinda. Their friendship, how strained it is, the jealousy that they're feeling for one another, as well as the care they still have despite going on these different paths and having their own different situations, works out so well. I feel like Galinda's story arc in this movie, seeing her develop as a character, worked really well for this movie, and seeing how Alphaba embraces being the Wicked Witch as well. And also Jonathan Bailey in this movie. To me, I feel like he was the MVP of this movie. We got more of him this time around. Really enjoyed his character. Jeff Goldblum still amazing as the wizard. Michelle Yeoh as Morrible, great as well. Really, all the performances overall are still excellent that carried on from the first movie. The production design of this movie, from how Oz looks, Munchkin Land looks, they still look incredible. We see the castle that the Wicked Witch is going to be in. That looks great and fits her so well. The special effects from the flying monkeys to the magic, everything looks great. Right, it doesn't look bad. The songs, while aren't as iconic and they're not going to stand out as the songs from part one, I still enjoy the songs very much. I enjoyed Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo's singing in this movie. I think that was done. And this movie definitely has a darker tone than the first Wicked as well. And I think the movie did a very good job of balancing that darker tone out with the lighter tone that's still being carried in. And the first half of this movie, I thought the pacing was good. I thought the story arc was pretty good, building up where these characters are since the events of Wicked, how everyone feels at this moment, not just Galinda and Alphaba, but Alpha's sister, Fiero, the wizard, all these we see like what they're going through, what each character is going through in their struggles, who still cares for Alphaba, who is truly against her. It's really the second half of this movie where the problems lie, and the problems are a messy story, some clunky moments, and some rushed moments. Because in Wicked for Good, because this is based off the play Wicked, this is the part where the events of Wizard of Oz collide with this story. Halfway through this movie, we transition into the events of Wizard of Oz. You know, Dorothy and her house from Kansas crashing into Munchkin Land, landing on the sister, following the Yellow Brick Road, befriending Scarecrow, Cowardly Lion, Tin Man, having to get the broom of the Wicked Witch for the wizard. We see that happening. And not that you want a reenactment of Wizard of Oz because we know the story. We're here to see the story of Alphaba and Galinda. But it feels like this is where a lot of things get rushed. This is where scenes that could be fleshed out better should be fleshed out better. This is where things feel more forced into the story, where certain characters change not for the better, or they're forced to do stuff that you feel like is out of place. And an example, which minor spoiler, the movie's been out for over a week, so I can say this. So at some point, we know Fiero's gonna turn into the Scarecrow. If you've seen Wicked, even though I haven't seen the play, I've seen the movie, so I know what's gonna happen. But he doesn't turn into Scarecrow until right after Dorothy is on her way out of Munchkinland. And we know in Wizard of Oz, Scarecrow's the first that she befriends on her way to Emerald City. And considering the fact that there's also a, I guess, slap fight, you can call it, between Galinda and Alphaba that is also happening right before he turns into Scarecrow, it just feels like the Scarecrow sequence, him transforming to Scarecrow, just feels rushed and it feels like it has to happen like right away. Now, I don't know what the distance is from Munchkinland to when Dorothy first comes across Scarecrow, but stuff like that you feel like they had to happen so that event can happen. It just feels like there are plot conveniences to make the Wizard of Oz part make sense. Like the Tin Man's transformation happens earlier on in the movie. The Tin Man transformation is handled well. But yeah, just the like stuff like with what happened with Scarecrow just felt rushed. And there are people who have seen the Wicked musical that have come out and said, "Yeah, this is how the play felt. This is how Act Two felt. It feels messy once we get into the Wizard of Oz story." But I feel like a movie where you don't have that 60-minute runtime that Act Two has, apparently, you could maybe add some extra time, maybe like an extra 10 to 15 minutes to maybe flesh things out better. And I do want to get into the Glinda Elphaba slap fight. Like it's there for slapstick, it's meant for comedy. Considering what happens right before it, which another minor spoiler, but if you know the story of Wicked and Wizard of Oz, it's really not, since the play and Wizard of Oz have been out for quite some time. It's like this happens right after Elphaba learns her sister was crushed by Dorothy's house. And I don't know, just while it's funny, kind of feels out of place. But I mean, at the same time, you kind of understand the pent up frustration from both these women at this point. Which I will say, the second half's not completely bad. Like the songs that happen in the second half, they're still very good. There is an emotional moment between Galinda and Alphaba closer to the end that really warms your heart that I thought was handled very well. There is a creative decision where you don't see Dorothy's face at all in this movie, which I really enjoy because this is not Dorothy's story. This is, as I said before, the story of Alphaba and Galinda. But yeah, I just feel like once we get to the Wizard of Oz stuff, the story feels messy and all that. Now, I've heard some people complain and say like Tin Man is out of character in this movie, but honestly, I didn't mind what happened with Tin Man. Like, yeah, he's out of character, but let's be real here. This is like an alternate take on the story of Oz, and also they kind of set it up pretty well for Tin Man to feel out of character, considering how Alphaba transforms him and how Alphaba's sister explains to Tin Man what happened to him. Like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that he has this vent up frustration. So I will defend that choice. I don't know, it just feels like another situation like with it, where the first part of it is handled well, And the second part, which, if you've read the Stephen King novel, people have had their issues with It Chapter 2. When you adapt It Chapter 2, you do the best you can to make a good adaptation, but it's still going to be messy. And I feel like, not that the whole movie was messy, but it just feels like the second half, there might have been an opportunity to flesh it out, but they couldn't do it. But having said that, I was still satisfied with the ending of this movie. It does feel like it does that Lord of the Rings Return of the King thing where the movie could have ended earlier than it did, but I was still satisfied with the ending. I feel like maybe they could have handled certain things with the wizard better this time around because there's something that happens that Galinda discovers about the wizard that they kind of rushed over as well. But overall, first half of this movie was pretty strong. Acting wise, great as always. Oz looks fantastic. The production looks fantastic. This is definitely going to get nominated, should get nominated for costumes, makeup, and visuals. If they just had fixed the second half, maybe fleshed stuff out better, this movie could have been almost as good as the first Wicked. But instead, we just have this good act two, this okay, good act two. But we have this fantastic first act, which was this movie. But I feel like it probably might be better once it comes out on DVD and I rewatch it back to back with the first Wicked. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna give Wicked for good. I've been torn about my grade, but I'm gonna settle with a B. I originally wanted to give it a B minus, but I did enjoy this movie despite the second half messy parts, and I did think the story up until the Wizard of Oz arc was happening was fine. So yeah, I'm gonna give Wicked for Good a B. If you're a fan of Wicked, whether it be the musical or the first part, I highly recommend you check it out. If you're a fan of anything Wizard of Oz, I recommend you check out Wicked. And maybe next year I will review the original Wizard of Oz since we don't have any Wicked movies coming out next year. I don't know. I heard apparently Universal might have an interest in exploring more in this universe. I don't think they should. Don't overdo it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Wicked for Good? Have you seen it? What you think about it? And I might have asked this question with the first Wicked when I reviewed it last year. What's one of your favorite musicals or a musical that you enjoy a lot? Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe right if you haven't. Please share this with someone that enjoys Wicked and Wizard of Oz. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.